Welcome to Wednesday Live. You guessed it, welcome to Home Built Workshop. I hope your day is off to a great start or coming to a great end, depending on where you are in the world. But welcome. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to tune in to the Wednesday Live. If you're new to the Wednesday Live, just an hour or so of time just hanging out, talking about projects, talking about things that are going on, stuff we're working on, what I'm working on, what you're working on. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate you guys hanging out, spending a little time here in the shop and just chatting, hanging out, enjoying some coffee or whatever it is that you're sipping on today. Henry's here. Henry says morning. Good morning, Henry. How are you doing this fine Wednesday morning? Robert says, morning. Finally started cooling down a bit and here in Oklahoma. Had some much needed rain a day or so back. Lost power for about 14 hours. Wow. Yeah, we finally, well, fall's here to stay, I'm afraid. It's been kind of chilly here really for the last few days, especially in the mornings overnight. We've been getting down into the 20s and only like the 50s and 60s or so, maybe 60 if we're lucky. But that's crazy. Lost power for 14 hours. That's a little while. I think we're kind of fortunate in that area here anyway. We don't lose power a whole lot. It'll flicker from time to time, during those storms, spring storms and like the winter kind of blizzardy type storms. But for the most part, it's kind of rare that we have power go out that much. So I'm kind of thankful for that. Robert, I hope everything has returned to normal. Cool. Right on. So what are you guys working on today? What's going on in your world? Henry asks, are you into skiing? Short answer, no. Not because I don't enjoy it or anything, but I've only done it one time, and I never really learned how to do it. I didn't take any sort of lessons or classes or something. I only went skiing, this was like over 20 years ago, and it was somewhat of a disaster for me. I spent like the whole day on the bunny slope to one of the skis, sometimes both, down the hill as I. It wasn't the funnest either. I kind of wish that I enjoyed it a little more, but the thing that I'm not a fan of is, it's not like you can just go outside and ski down the hill, in front of your house or whatever. You got to make a trip of it and head up into the mountains, which is not a bad thing, but yeah. If you could do it a lot closer without having to drive for hours, then I might try it again. I don't know. Do you ski, Henry? Or snowboard? One of those? No, what I do like. Here's what I do enjoy, and I really kind of miss this. Oops, forgot to put the phone on quiet there. There we go, problem solved. What I do enjoy is snowmobiles. I haven't ridden a snowmobile in probably as long as it's been since I've skied, mainly because we don't get enough snow here. Again, you have to go up into the mountains, but man, I love snowmobiling. That's fun. Pretty much if it's got a motor, I'm all about it. Robert says, only about mid-30s for the lows so far here. Yes, it has. Watch and Learn, Thomas is here. What's up, brother? Watch and Learn says, good morning all, and Jeff. Good morning to you, my friend. Robert says, I was told it was lightning hit and it fell into a transfer station. They had a time getting it cleared. Ooh, that sounds like a mess. Watch and Learn says, cold here in the Arizona desert today. Yeah, I think we're all of us in this kind of lower southern Midwest area have I've kind of got a bit of a cold spell going on. Neptunes is here! Neptunes! What's up, dude? Nep says, hello, everyone. I made it. Henry says, I just learned how to ski last year. I grew up in Missouri. It was a hard learning curve, and I crashed a lot. I like it so far. Winter Park has a free green slope if you ever wanted to practice. Really? A free slope? I have been to Winter Park once, and it was kind of cool. I wasn't up there in the winter snow season. I think it was the fall, and just spent some time, messing around. But yeah, that was pretty cool. That's good to know that they have a free slope. It's kind of neat. So you could just drive up there and practice for free. That's actually pretty awesome. What about that drive into Winter Park? That road that you have to go up, it's all twisty and windy, and that was pretty cool. Sempak and Rick is here. Rick says, good morning, Jeff and everyone. Good morning, Rick. What are you up to this fine morning? And Giovanni's here. Giovanni says, ciao, Jeff. Ciao, Giovanni. How are you today? How's your Wednesday afternoon going? Coffee. Cheers. Giovanni, are you guys in the thick of the fall season over there? Do you get I know you have fall, but do you have does your weather change pretty drastically? Pretty kind of mellow. Henry says, testing guitar pickup frequency response with an oscilloscope this week. Ooh, that sounds super technical. I haven't used a scope in quite a while. What are you testing for? Like what are you trying to discover or learn, or what's the goal? I'd be interested in knowing that, because that sounds mighty technical. Giovanni says, everything okay. Here it's 30 degrees. Wow. 30 degrees? It's like 86 degrees. How does it get cold in your area, Giovanni? Like what's the coldest? Like when you're in winter, what sort of weather can you expect? What's typical, I guess? Robert says, I need to make myself a shooting board. I have a thin flame maple top that I need to join so I can put a top on a small child size Strat style body. Maple is only about an eighth inch thick. Yeah, a shooting board would work great. You can also use a jointer. I've done that quite a few times. Just taking a very light pass. I don't know if you have one or not. Maybe you don't, but you can also use a joiner. When I do it on a joiner, I'll take very, very, like the smallest pass I can take, very carefully. You run your two pieces as a book mat pair. Don't just stack them on top. You take them and you fold them up exactly how they would fold together. Join them together, that way they have the same angle. And you would do the same thing on a shooting board too. But yeah, shooting board is super easy. Couple scraps of plywood and at least one edge nice and straight, and yeah, you can knock one together. You don't have to get super crazy, really. Some sort of a backstop. Piece of cake, Robert. You got this. Sempackin says, headed over to the neighbors to check the CNC program. It's going to do my Montreal Canadian build. I saw your picture of that. That's going to be a fun one. What sort of CNC machine are they running? Watch and Learn says, ciao, Giovanni. Henry says, you can find the resonant peaks, which lets you know what frequencies the pickup responds to best. I do these kinds of things for my job, so it's fun to add guitar stuff in whenever I can. That's interesting. I know you can do a whole lot of testing on that, on those sort of thing. I guess you could use that if you're building pickups too, probably. You know, to kind of test the frequency. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Not that I'm super familiar with, you know, like the brands and things of oscilloscopes, but are using one of the big, you know, I don't know what you'd call them, the big fancy model. I've seen little ones too, like almost like a multimeter size. Harry Dude, there he is. Harry Dude says, "What's up? Hello, everyone. What's up, man? How are things going over there? Down there? How's Australia doing? Tell everyone hi for me. Hope you're doing good, man. What are you working on? What's on the bench?" Robert says it's currently 54 degrees, going to the mid 60s. Yeah, I don't have a jointer or planer. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, just grab you know, see if you got some scraps of plywood around, and you can knock one together fairly quick. Just make sure you keep everything square. You know the drill. Sent Packet says, "No idea." What? LOL. One with a router. Fair enough. I'm always curious. I just like to know what people are using, and you know, because it is something that I hope to add to the shop here, and I just like to know what people are using. So no worries. Robert says, "I do have some scrap, good quality plywood. That's all you need. That is all you need." Yeah. Brian's here too. Brian says, "Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a nice week." You too, Brian. I hope your week is going great. Things here are going pretty good. I am back on the acoustic guitar, and we'll get to where I'm at on that here shortly, as soon as we're all caught up with what you guys are up to. Neptune says, "I'd like to find someone with a laser cutter. I have some model bulkheads I want to get cut out of 1/8" ply." I think everyone needs a laser cutter. And yeah. You know what I keep seeing? I was researching some about a week or so ago, just looking at some of the laser cutters. Ultimately, I would love to have a CO2 laser, but you know, the price jump into them is fairly high. So I was looking at some of these diode lasers. I've never really been a fan of the diode lasers, but it seems like the technology has really come quite a ways. So I was just kind of researching a few of the brands out there. That is the only thing I see now, like in ads, like on YouTube and you know on the computer. It's all diode lasers. Like that, crazy how that that whole thing works. As soon as you look up one thing, that's all you see. But yeah, I would think an 1/8" ply wouldn't be really a big deal to cut for sure. I know I have used a fair bit of CO2 lasers in the past at my old job, and you know, we used to cut acrylic and plastic and HDPE, and we do all kinds of stuff. I know it would cut 1/8. It would be nice and clean and everything. Maybe one day we'll add that to the shop as well. Where we would put it, I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. Sempackin says the CNC machine is a big one, takes up a large portion of his garage. That's cool. Rogue is here. Rogue says there he is. What's up, brother Jeff? Good to see you. What's up, man? How are you doing today? Hope you're doing fine. Thanks for tuning in. Glad to see you. Right on. That's awesome. Let's see, some other updates. What do we got going on? I mentioned, I think last week, that I sold I sold the 6-string cigar box guitar. That is arrived at the customer last week, and the word is all is well, so I can take that worry out of my head that something got ran over by a forklift. And so I'm pretty happy about that. Um, there's always that waiting period between when you ship something and when the customer gets it, that I'm like, oh man, this is going to be, it's going to fall off the back of the truck, and then it's going to get, run over by a tractor, and then they're going to scoop it up, and it's going to, but it didn't. Everything arrived as it should have. Rogue says, all good on my end, man. Staying busy. Right on. I'm glad to hear that. What are you working on? Anything? Any projects in the works? We're going to get to my project here. Henry says, how do you decide what wood scraps to keep, or do you keep all of them? I recently moved up here to Denver. My girlfriend still makes fun of me for the boxes of scrap wood she helped me pack.
Henry, that is a great question, man, and that is one that, excuse me, that's one that I don't know. I guess maybe I don't have a great answer for it, but I try to keep. I have a 5-gallon bucket that I just throw little scraps of stuff in there that I feel like I could use, and it's full. I don't keep a ton of things because, one, I don't have a lot of, the main reason really is I don't have a big space where I can just save all these little pieces. I was going to try to reach in and grab something out of the trash. I guess it's not really, like offcuts and stuff from my guitar headstock. Of course, weird shapes, small shapes, weird offcuts or glue ups. I don't save those kinds of things. But I will save stuff, that maybe is nice and straight, pieces that I could definitely see using. I don't keep the stuff that is just kind of a weird, small offcut deal. But if it's if it's a nice straight piece, or there's or at least a nice flat straight section in there of maybe an offcut, I'll hang on to those. But like, I'm pulling stuff out of the trash. Offcuts of 2x4s that I used for backstops for drilling. I don't save that kind of stuff. I'll save hardwoods, mainly hardwoods. I pretty much don't save softwoods. But it's kind of hard because everybody has different space available. And if you have a ton of space where you can afford to just keep almost everything, then by all means keep whatever you feel necessary. But if it's a straight flat piece that I really feel like it could be used for something, even if it's just for throwing a jig together for a backstop on a shooting board or something, Robert. I'll hang on to them. But when that bucket's full and like overflowing like it is right now, I really have to go and look at what I'm saving, because I just don't have a ton of room to keep a whole bunch of offcuts. What I've found for me, even having a 5-gallon bucket that I just chuck pieces in there, the stuff at the bottom, I never use it because it's at the bottom, and in order to get to it, I got to pull everything out of the bucket. So really, I feel like a 5-gallon bucket is probably too much for my process. I don't know. That's how I do it. If the piece is usable and it's a hardwood, likely I'll keep it. Sometimes, like right now, during the acoustic guitar build, I'm keeping all of the pieces. Like, this is not something I would normally save, but I'm keeping all the pieces, offcuts and whatnot, just in case. All of the stuff that came from the guitar, I should say, and I'm just throwing it in a little box just to keep it all together. That way, if for some reason I need to make a repair or something like that, then I have the exact materials
that came from the instrument. But as soon as this thing's done and everything's together, I'm gonna chuck all these. So, you know, there's stuff like that that I do consider too. Like, yeah, this would have gone right in the trash, but if I need to match a piece for some reason, then I have all of that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a great answer, but hopefully it helps. Rogue says, found a new passion, airbrushing. Oh man, that sounds awesome. It is something that I have always wanted to try. I've never, I've done a lot of spray gun, painting with a spray gun, but I've never tried an airbrush. That just sounds way too cool.
Rogue says, yeah, keep straight square pieces of a certain length. Anything too short goes. Yep. Yep, I agree. Little blocks of an offcut of something, I toss them. I just don't. I don't have the space nor the mental space to try to remember what I have and what I don't have. Robert says, I've been looking at a Fox Alien CNC machine that has the ability to use both a router or a laser. I recently heard of the Fox Alien. I think through Dan over at Guns and Guitars, if you guys are familiar with him and his channel. I think that's the one that he's got, or that he just started testing out or something like that. And I thought about that. The CNC machine that I'm looking at getting has the option to add a laser to it. And I debated on whether or not I would want to add a laser to the machine. While I think it would be cool, back and forth on that, and my thought is that keeps steering back from that, is that if how do you explain that? If the CNC, if something breaks, both machines are down if it's all in one. Like if something goes down on the CNC machine and I have to wait for a part, now I'm out the CNC machine and the laser. Whereas if you had two separate units, and it is a diode laser as well. Whereas if you had two separate ones, at least you still had one of them up and running. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not even sure if it's necessary, really, to act with the machine, but that's my thought anyway.
But it is a great way to be able to have both machines without the extra footprint of, a small laser. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. That's just kind of my thought on the combo units. Senpakin says, I keep almost everything, and every month or so I go through it and chuck the little bits. Maybe that's what I ought to do too. Just kind of set a reminder, every month or two, go through my bucket, toss stuff. That way stuff gets lost in the bottom. I'm sure there's good pieces down there that that maybe I could have used for something. KK's here. KK says, good day, people. So nice to catch your show today, my friend. I'm actually learning things I never imagined from you. And of course, from the good friends. I wish the best for everyone. Right on, man. Thank you. We're glad you're here, too. So that's one thing these lives, I just love hanging out with everybody, talking about, everything that we talk about. It's, I learned from you. And it's just a great sharing of information and just a good time overall. Donna's here. Donna says, have a good weekend. What's going on, Donna? How are you doing this fine Wednesday? You have a good weekend as well. Rogue says, oh, Robert, that sounds cool, man.
Rogue says, would a laser be necessary on a CNC? Not necessary, no. But the idea is that you could, let's say you were cutting out, I don't know, we're going to cut out a guitar body with the CNC. And once you get it cut out, now you switch to the laser head and you burn, whatever design or pattern or something into the guitar body. Or maybe you're making a fretboard and you, maybe you're making I don't know, you got some sort of inlays that you want to do with the CNC. But I was going to say you could burn stuff into things and etch and put logos and all that. It would be very helpful for like doing a headstock logo. I definitely set up your, it's already there. You just load the laser file and do whatever burning you need to do. Rogue says, now I'm on the fence. Henry said, I think that's a great answer. It's better to keep your space clean. Nothing makes me get rid of scraps more than a bonfire. Oh, bonfires are great. KK, right on. There you go. Robert says, yeah, if you have the space for 2 machines, that'd be great. For a small shop, 1 machine of moderate size that has both laser or router would be better. Yes, I do agree with that, 100%. It's a great way to combine both machines and save that space. Robert says, not necessary, just adds more options. Yep. Neptune says, for me, the only reason... Whoops, what have I done? The only reason for the laser is for the sharp inside corners, if I wasn't ever going to use it for engraving. Yeah, they just cut so nice. It's pretty incredible. You know, the detail that you can get with a laser. It's awesome. All right, I'm going to take a second, show you guys where I'm at on the acoustic guitar. We're on to the neck. So, we've been talking about the neck in the last few episodes, and I've been working out some details. I now have my neck with a headstock. Look at that. Got it all routed to size. We got our carbon fiber rods and the truss rod slot in there. It's cut to length. And I'm getting ready to, once we're done here, I need to add my logo to the end. And that's going to be fun because I am going to be doing, let's see if I hold this up here right. I'm going to be using my headstock template, which also has this convenient little oval thing in there. I'm going to be doing an inlay in the middle. So I have several templates. If I can reach them. I have this little guy. So my plan is going to be to attach this on here. I'm going to pin this in place, route this out to a thin, pretty thin. You can see that this is smaller. So I'm going to route this oval. Then on a piece of flame maple, I'm going to take my Haley Guitars branding iron, brand the logo into this. Then, this is hard to do. Then I'll take this little template, route out an oval that has the Haley Guitars logo in it. Then that's going to get inlaid in this oval that'll be here. And then the whole thing is going to be wrapped with a purfling of Padauk. I should have brought my sample piece out here to show you, but I didn't think of it. It looks really neat. As long as I can make this come out as clean, as at least as my test piece did, this is going to be cool. I had to get a little bit creative because I need to bend the purfling. I can't bend Padauk purfling to match this size without it breaking. So I had to, so I have to use a bend. I have to be able to bend it. And of course, you know, I don't have a bender, so I had to get a little creative with the bender. I decided to use my branding iron as a hot pipe, basically. I tried a soldering iron, and that worked pretty good too. But what I found was there's a 5/8 pipe that goes in here with a threaded end. So if you can see that right there, that's a separate piece. There's these 2 set screws here. This thing comes out. I found a piece of 5/8 shaft that, or is it 9/16? I think it was 9/16. That I can then put in there, tighten the screws down. This will heat up, and basically become my bending iron. Now I have no temperature control when doing this, so once it gets hot, I'll probably have to, turn it off so it doesn't overheat. But this is going to work really good in testing. Do I have any? I don't have my purfling around here. I'm using just a piece of like pallet strapping, as kind of a backer to get my bends down to where I need them to be, and it seems like it's going to work really awesome. So that's my goal for today. Once we're done hanging out, to get this routed, to get everything inlaid, and then drill the final tuner holes. So hopefully I can get that done. I should be able to. And then, let's see, then what do I need to do? I'll probably start on, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I might go into the tenon, get the tenon cut. I still have to finish cutting out the profile on here, and then make the fretboard. But this is going, there's a lot less steps to this, if you can imagine that. So, yeah, today's goal, get the logo inlaid and the tuner holes drilled. All right, I'm coming back. I'm going to get caught up on your on the comments here. Harry Dude says, ideal in mainly MDF and plastic. Small offcuts go straight in the bin. Larger offcuts get reused. Yeah, I do the same. The small stuff, yeah, it's just, I don't even consider it. Rogue says, sweet, show and tell. Neptune's nice. Robert says, glad to see what you've done so far. Looking good. Rogue says, steam it and kerf it. I will soak the purfling in water for, I don't know, a while. In testing, I noticed it, kind of softened a little bit in the water, but still not much. And it really takes the heat to get it to bend, because this is a pretty tight corner. I really had quite a time and broke several pieces trying to figure out, how I was going to do that. But I think with the combination of the heat and soaking it, I think that's going to make a difference. I didn't try actually steaming it, though. I don't have a great method for steaming. My steaming method involves using like the steamer pot thingy, you can get like for steaming vegetables on the stove. I've used that once or twice to steam a piece of wood. Sam Packin says, couldn't you soak it and bend it? Yes, I will soak it, but it does not bend just being soaked. It just doesn't soften up like you might expect until you get the heat in there. The heat is what helps bend it. You know what? I got another sample piece. If I can grab it without kicking the camera. Well, hang on. I just realized this is here. So this is a test piece right here. This is not perfect, but this was just a sample, testing my process to where this one doesn't have the logo, of course, but imagine it says Haley Guitars right across there. So yeah, that's basically what it'll be. Only this won't be, this piece of wood. It'll be right in this spalted maple. But I think it's going to look awesome. I didn't want to just put the logo on the spalted maple because I don't think it would show up great. It wouldn't look bad or anything, but I wanted it to pop, So I think by putting it on a piece of plain flame maple like this, it's going to give it just enough difference in wood plus the outline. It's just I think it's going to look awesome. Rogue says, sweet, that's working with what you got. Impressed. Well, thanks, Rogue. You got to get a little creative, right? I know they sell small bending irons. I believe they have an attachment or something for some of the bending irons, but man, those bending irons alone, those manual like side bending irons, are several $100s. Yes, you can make them for less, but I just had to dig through the scrap bin. Speaking of scrap bin, I got one that has like pieces of metal. I got a metal scrap bin and a wood scrap bin.
And luckily, I didn't even realize this was in there. It was buried and covered in sawdust, and dug it out, and lo and behold, it's the same size as and fits straight in the bending iron. So my score. Robert says if you do that right, it
Should look great. Yeah, that's the key. If I do it right, you know, the good part is once I route, you know, this is fairly simple, right? Attach the template, you know, route it flush, right? So that part, I'm not worried about that part. I'm also not worried about making this little logo. The hardest part is flush trim routing with this tiny template. I ended up using a you know, the twin screw, like a traditional woodworking clamp, and hanging on to this thing, routing part of it, flipping it around, routing part of it, and then carefully hanging onto the sides and routing both sides. It's a little bit of a process, but I've done several tests working that out. My process is brand the logo in here. Then I have this, which lets me place it over the logo so that I can make sure it's centered and straight, you know, not crooked. Then this fits in the center. So this will have double stick tape stuck to it. That'll stick down over there. Then I can pop the outside piece off, sort of, right? So I'll be able to take this off. Then I'll have something basically like this. Trim it off at the bandsaw as close as I can, then carefully use my clamp. It's a process, but it works.
Mike's here. Mike says, good morning. Good morning, Mike.
Harry Dude says, instead of kerfing, could you sand the Paduke and use the dust to inlay in the headstock with CA glue? Probably. I probably could. And maybe that would be an alternative if I have issues. But I probably will, at least in my sample piece that I really wish I'd have brought out so I could show you. I did have a couple gaps, so to get around that, I did use the dust and just sanded it level. I left the kerfing just a little proud so that I could sand it flat. That filled in the holes. Then I CA glued everything. I'm going to try to actually bend it and see how that goes. Hopefully don't burn my fingers. But I really want to try to get that solid wood in there, but I'll probably still have some gaps to fill with the dust. Sam Packin says, it's going to look great. I was going to say pop. Huh? Pop? Pop. I haven't had a pop in a long time.
Well, all right. So Rogue says, what would do on something so small? Maybe an epoxy mixture. That would do on. Yeah,
You could definitely use epoxy. That would fill in the holes. My goal though is to try to keep that Paduke purfling theme, because everything is maple and Paduke. So I'm trying to stick with that Paduke theme. Yeah, you could probably mix up some pigments, you know, to get that same color. But if I can keep it at real wood, that's my goal. I want to try that anyway. If I get into trouble with something, then I'll look at alternative methods. But for now, that's what I'm going to try. Robert says, yeah, Paduke seems to have a lot of resins in it, so the water does not soak in very well. Yes, that is what I'm noticing. Brian says, got to run and fix dinner. Have a great week and enjoy what you're working on. Thanks, Brian. Have an awesome week, man. Rogue says, later, Brian. Neptune says, I want your metal scrap bin. LOL. It's not super big. It's only about it's like a milk crate. It's just with a bunch of metal bits in there. Pieces of angle iron, pieces of, tubing, round stock, you know, pieces of offcuts of shaft, you know, like this, and yeah. What do you need? I'll send you a piece. Harry Dude says, for routing small parts, I screw a larger piece on the top of the template for a larger handle. I thought about something like that. Some sort of a thing to help. Because it really is tricky. It's very tricky to do. The very first time I tried it, I trimmed it very, very close to the edge. There wasn't much to trim, but I did. Don't do this at home. If you're going to try small parts, don't hold it by hand. But I tried that, and you know, so the router bit's here, and I very carefully, you know, I had it on the router on the table, so I'm like very carefully trying to hold, and as soon as it just touched the router bit, it went shooting across the shop. Thankfully, I know which way it's going to fly if it's going to kick, and so I don't stand there. But yeah, don't do that at home. Use something, a clamp, screw a handle onto the top, something like that, to keep your fingers well out of the way of the router bit. Yeah, Hair Dude, I feel like even if I screwed something to the top, do you think that would be too small though? Do you think that would work? Like this thing's literally only 28 millimeters by about 56, 57. I mean, it's pretty small. And now it's gone. Hang on. It's gone. Come here, you. Yeah, the problem that I see, and I don't know, I haven't tried it yet, is how do I get more? Because I thought about, doing something, some sort of a jig that would hold it in place. But I want to take the, I don't want there to be any chance of it rocking. That's the problem I've been trying to figure out. So I know I've seen some cool jigs for routing small pieces, but I don't have a. An idea just came. Okay. So this might be interesting because I just thought of it and it would work, I think. Pretend this is larger. So I stick this to it. But I want to keep it from tipping, so I thought about having some legs that come down, right? Or even just gluing some blocks on there. But my concern was that if the piece that I stick to the bottom is not the same thickness every time, a bit of tipping. Well, what if we just had some bolts or some threaded here that you could just screw it down to meet the table so you could adjust it? Had a little lock nut or something, so you thread it down so that it can't wobble. Then you lock the thing down. You know, does that make sense? So you can adjust the feet. I would think that would work. We may have just developed a new jig. All right, let me get caught back up here. Mike says, sorry, late to the conversation, but in the fret marker dots, you used copper tubing. I wonder if you could use thick copper. Oh, never mind. Oh, I gotcha. For the inlay. Yeah. I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah, that would be cool. I do plan on doing the same copper inlays and probably side markers as I did on the cigar box build for the Great Guitar Build-Off. Ooh, which I want to get to that too. Robert says, have a good one, Brian. Rogue says, of course, Jeff. Just lazy. Mike says, oh, wood. Never mind. Rogue says, I got too much unistrut and electrical conduit and PVC fittings. Too much. Well, I guess if you use it, it's not too much. Paul's here. Paul says, hello. Sorry I'm late. What's up, Paul? And Buddy's here. Buddy says, hey, long time since I've been here. No work today, rain, and expecting snow. How you doing, Jeff? Buddy, I'm doing good, man. Good to see you. Hope things are going well for you. So you're getting rain and maybe snow up there? We haven't had much of anything yet. We've had a couple light frosts here. I heard that somewhere here there was a flake or two that fell, but I haven't seen it yet. Definitely chilly though. Neptune says, I don't need anything. It's just always good to have more. Hair Dude says, I've done truss rod cover and round jack plates that size with the larger handle on the top. I might have to try. Make another copy of this one maybe in case this one goes shooting across the shop. Never to be seen again. Rogue says, 3D printing a jig. I just might sit down and try to work on something. Maybe I'll just use a piece of MDF from my scrapping. That'll be one more thing out of the bin. And just throw some threaded inserts in there and see what happens. Oh, I don't have any threaded inserts, I don't think. I think I'm fresh out. But still. Henry says, do you have one of those Dremel bases? Super nice to have for the little stuff. I do have one. Somewhere. It's on my circle cutting jig, but I can take that off of there.
I'd have to put a bushing or something in there. Have you guys ever seen a Dremel router base that takes a bushing? You know, like a offset, like you'd put a brass bushing on a regular router to offset a cut when you're making a template or something.
I haven't done the research yet to see, but if you could get one for a Dremel router base, I think that would be kind of cool. I gotta believe that somebody has one, because then I think I could just take this, route out the whole thing,
put in a thicker piece of wood or solid piece, then use an offset bushing to route out for this. Oh, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. That's the crazy part. We all have to, you know, when you're trying to figure out a process for something that you've never done before, you kind of you try to figure out how to do it with what you have available. And then as you figure things out, then you start to realize there's other, some other things you might try.
Harry Dude says, that's exactly how I do it to Rogue with the router base. Yeah, the little router bases are great. I'm just trying to follow a specific template here. Paul says, build a 3-piece stand, 2 legs, glue that center, then tape super glue pieces to it. 3-piece stand, 2 legs, glue that thing in the center.
Ooh, sorry about that. I don't know if it cut out on your end, but it did on mine. I don't know why. Paul says put a handle on the back side. Tape, super glue, piece of wood. Put the thing on there. Yeah. I think I know it can be done. I just got to think on that a little bit. Robert says if you have a router table, you could screw a piece to one side and use it to hold on to, and use a piece of wood with maybe some rubber as a push stick to move it. Henry says, can you do the routing, then cut the oval out? Yeah, I think so. So on this test piece, what I did was, cut the whole outer size out first using this template. Right. Then I have, just the whole oval, the outside oval, This is the easy part because it's wide enough to support, you know, a trim router base. Then, so that makes the whole size for the purfling as well as the oval. Then I already have the purfling made up, so that's done. And then from there, I have this little dude that gets cut out of a thinner piece. Man, you guys are giving me some great ideas. I got to think about this a little more. Harry Dude says, I'll send you a truss rod template file so you can see what I mean. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to check it out. Oh, and I printed those setup blocks too, and those things work awesome. They work awesome, and yes, very similar, as you said, to the skyscraper ones. So now I have both. Someone was in the driveway. So yeah, those things were awesome. Thanks for sending those. And oh, side note, I did get that that Charvel finished up that I was working on. A little guitar repair on the side. It's off. It's out of here. It turned out really awesome. Okay, so let's see. Hold on, I need a drink. Robert says, you might try doing it like Luther did his headstock this year. Instead of bending it, route out the Paduk and basically inlay the maple into the Paduk. Yes, I thought about that. I think I know what you mean. So you take a bigger piece of Paduk, inlay the Paduk, then route out the Paduk and inlay the maple. Is that what you're talking about? I thought about that. In fact, I was picking the brain of my buddy Matt from Zimbelman Guitars, and he said, "Just use your CNC machine to cut it out." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. Yeah, funny guy." Rogue says, "Understand what you're trying to accomplish, Jeff. Just spitballing in here." No, dude, that's what I like. Right? Because I don't know about you guys, but when for this process, you know, I worked out the process using the tools that I had available or that seemed like the best fit. Now, you know, when you do anything by hand, right? There's more than one way to do things, and now that I have this process in my head, I'm kind of not stuck on it, but it's harder to think of other options because that's the way I figured it out, and that's the way I've been able to make it work. So I welcome all of the feedback from everyone for other ways. So yeah, thank you. So the more spitballing, the better. Robert says, yeah, but you're back now. Good. I don't know what happened. Rogue says, of course, always figure out a way to tackle it with what I have on hand. Yeah, and I think that's all of us. That's just what we do, right? You got to look at what you have. We don't all have the same tools, the same materials, the same supplies, the same anything, right? So we have to look at what's available to us, the resources that we have available, and figure out how to accomplish whatever it is we're trying to do. So that's one of the awesome things about our craft, no matter what it is, really. Like if you make anything, you know, leather work, woodwork, guitar building, anything, whatever it is, you use the tools that you have to accomplish the job. Not that there's only one way, because there is absolutely, you know, way more ways to accomplish things than, yeah. Alrighty. Before we run out of time, I got, let's see, the Great Guitar Build-Off is coming to an end, at least for us, for the non-pros, maybe? The voting ends, I think, the end of the month. So I did take my time. Unfortunately, my daughter was homesick from school on Monday. She wasn't feeling well. It was their first day back from fall break, and, well, she was sick. She missed it. So she got creative with extending her fall break. But we spent, I don't know, an hour or so just sitting in front of the computer going through
the Great Guitar Build-Off entries, and we've submitted our votes. This year, if you guys aren't familiar with the Build-Off, well, last year, the voting was open to the public, and it was a disaster, to say the least. Some unscrupulous individuals, well, influenced the voting through alternative means of some sort. How's that for getting around saying they're cheating? So this year, they closed the public vote, and it's only open to those that are entered in the competition. So that was kind of fun, sitting down and just going through the entries and, you know, seeing all the builds in there. We were not at all close to being able to watch every single video, especially for the scratch build, because there is so many. There's probably a day's worth at least, or maybe 2 days worth of videos to watch. So, but we did get our vote submitted. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And I believe, Paul, your entry's coming up here pretty quick, right? Isn't that November?
So I think the invitationals and like the pro categories are November, run the month of November, if I'm not mistaken. So, but guys, if you haven't checked out the Great Guitar Build-Off
Site and looked at all the entries and the builds that people have done, I really want to encourage you, take a few minutes, go on there, you know, and just watch some of the videos, look at some of the pictures. There's some really, really nice guitars in there. Make sure you check out the freestyle category. I heard there's a cool cigar box guitar in there. But take a minute, go on there and look at all the stuff that people have built. It was really kind of fun. Rogue says, yes, sir, that's the artistry. You got it, buddy. Robert says, just keep those fingers safe away from the cutter. You betcha, man. I absolutely will. You know, I'll use that clamp. Oh, here it is. You know, one of these guys is what I was using. You know, just clamp that guy in there. Make sure it's nice and level with the table. I can route it in little bits. It worked pretty well. I do think I want to build a jig, though, at some point. Neptune says, I don't have a lot of router experience. I'm lost on the problem, but why can't you use a bit with a bearing and run the part on the router like a router table instead of guiding the router? Yes, so I'll show you for some of this. Yes, that's what I'm doing. So this is the setup that I used to do these couple of test pieces. So this gets attached to the headstock, and I have some pins in here where I secure it with double-sided tape, and then I put toothpicks down through these little holes, which will eventually be the tuner holes. So that holds everything in place. Then I can use this bit, which does have a bearing. That's a little deeper than it needs to be, but it's not set for this particular thing. I'll make the cut around there and clear out the center, which clears the overall hole size. And this hole is big enough, or this recess is big enough for the oval, which will have the logo, as well as the pin. And, you know, burn the logo on here, stick this to it. Then this piece I run on the router table. So this one gets, I'm not using a handheld router for this. Now I'm thinking. Now you guys got me thinking about other ways. Now I'm thinking, could I, if I made a base, I just got maybe an even better idea.
Let me run this by you
Real quick. Do I have anything I can use as an example? Not particularly. What if, what if I took a piece of MDF? What do you guys think? Here, let's listen to this. So let's just use this as an example. Let's say I cut out a, I don't know, 2 by 3-inch rectangle out of the center, right? So this can sit down in. This was glued down to a piece. I use this as the router base. And then I could use this same setup. Right? So if this is down, I'd have to use a bearing. I'd have to use a bottom mounted bearing. That might work too. Man, there's, see, you guys got my brain going. That's what I like and I appreciate.
Neptune says,
Oh, a link to the build off. Right on, man. Thank you. Yeah, guys, go check it out if you got a couple minutes. Neptune says that's what he's doing, but the small part needs to that he needs to route can be difficult to control. Yes, absolutely. Well said. Neptune says, oh, I got it. Rogue says, I got to roll, Jeff. Always a pleasure, my friend. Till next time. Right on, brother. Have a good one, man. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you next time. Paul says, I built jigs for my small routable pieces, then route them on my table. Yeah, I'm going to have to come up with something, because if this turns out like my sample piece, I think I'm going to be doing this on a lot of headstocks. I want to use this headstock for electrics as well. That's kind of why it has a little more electric feel than your traditional acoustic. I wanted to do something that like this, that was a 3x3 that I could use for electrics, because I've wanted to make a 3x3 headstock for quite some time. So if I can get this process down, it's going to be well worth the time spent building some jigs to make this much more repeatable. Robert says, I know what I'm talking about. A long time ago I tangled with a table saw. Trust me, the machine will always win. Still have all my fingers and thumbs, but a nice diagonal scar on my left thumb. Man, dang, Robert. I'm glad it's still there. Yeah, I try my best to stay safe and not get my fingers in there. I knew when I tried this the very first time, again, don't do this at home. Try to hold such a small thing by hand. When I just touched that bit, this thing just went, whoo, and it was gone. Buddy says, have a good day, folks. Be blessed. Right on, buddy. Thanks for tuning in, man. I hope you're doing awesome. Stay warm up there, and have a great week. Henry says, got to run. Have a good day, everyone. Robert says, buddy, you as well. Robert, Henry, have a good one. Senpackin says, I'm losing you, Jeff. Have a good day, everyone. Dang it. Sorry about that. Let's see here. I'm trying to, let's see, we got Tick Liddy. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Says hello from Quebec, Canada. Right on. Canada representing. How are things going in Quebec? I hope you're doing awesome. Neptune says, later everyone, say hi to the fam, Jeff. Will do, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it is that time, isn't it? Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I think we've covered about everything. I got an inlay to work on. And a whole lot of ideas to ponder over. Thanks to you guys. So again, thank you guys for getting my head spinning and the ideas flowing of alternate ways to make things happen. So I'm gonna think about that and figure out a way to make this happen. Harry Dude says, cheers everyone. Stay well, folks. Right on, guys. Thanks a lot for taking some time out of your morning, out of your afternoon, out of your evening to hang out here at Home Built Workshop. And hope you guys get the chance to get out there and make some things in your workspace, your workshop, whatever it is, and have fun working with your hands, building cool stuff, and stay safe. Be well. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy these lives. I really appreciate all you guys. Robert's got a shooting board to build. Paul says, take care. Right on. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Have an awesome week.